Hello and welcome. I'm Michelle French.
And I'm Kent French. And along with our 7-year-old daughter, Everly, back then, she's 9 now, we decided to leave our busy careers, rent our house out, and travel the world for a year. And we created the Frenchitivity Podcast as a platform for us to connect with like-minded families and individuals and people who kind of wanted to shake their lives up and jump off that cliff without the proverbial net to live a more fulfilling life. So we've had a tremendous amount of time doing that, but we're going to take a quick pivot and start our Frenchitivity Travel Series. So we're going to go country by country and tell you how we did it and why we did it. We already did Portugal, but now stop number 2, Michelle, is Greece.
It's Greece, and during this conversation, we'll take you through the historic sites that we saw, how we world schooled our daughter, the people that we met, the places that we went, how we booked things, what we would recommend, what we would do again, and what maybe we would change about that experience. So we can't wait to share all of that with you to make your travel experience, should you choose to go to any of these destinations, smooth, educational, fun, and memorable.
And don't forget, there will be a downloadable PDF, so no need to take notes. We hope you enjoy this podcast, and as always, we hope this conversation inspires you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Frenchitivity Podcast. Kent and Michelle French back with you as we continue our trip around the world. We like to call it the Frenchitivity Travel Series, where we just got done with our first stop, which was Portugal. Now we move on to Greece, Michelle. And the question I'd like to start to ask you is, why Greece?
Why Greece? There's a few different reasons. So, geography-wise, it made sense to go from Portugal to Greece, but there's history-wise as well. And we had traveled to Greece while we were dating, and it's a really special place for us. We had been to the islands of Santorini and Mykonos and a little quick stop in Athens, and had fallen in love with Greece. And we had always wanted to go back, and this was a perfect time to also share it with our daughter as well. So
it's a time too when you learn if you're gonna stick, right, in a relationship. You got to go on the road. Got to go to the
this time or that time. The first time.
Both times had different dynamics. First time was our very first trip away.
Yes, internationally.
And that went well.
Yeah, you're a good traveler. It was fun.
Yeah, it was a good traveler. I was a good traveler. You're good. We had our strengths.
We did.
And we had other moments where we needed each other to step in. So it seemed like it worked out well. So
that's a different podcast.
But you bring up a good point when it's like this time or last time. Well, this time certainly had its challenges as well. But we made it. We're still together. We're still doing a podcast. So thank you, Greece.
We love Greece. So that's why we went to Greece. And this time we also wanted to spend more time in Athens. We'd only spent a very short amount of time. So our journey began in Athens.
It did. And it was cool. So we got into Athens, I want to say late afternoon. My recollection was we got into Athens, the airport around late afternoon. Then we got into the city and by our flat. I thought it was like 8 o'clock, but you reminded me it was a lot later than that.
Yeah, I feel like it was late because I was a little bit worried about what would still be open and if we would be able to get provisions, if there would be any markets or restaurants nearby. We knew we were in a popular district, but we didn't really know what it would be like yet. So I was asking you along the way when we were in the car with the driver, should we ask them to stop at a market so we can get some supplies, at least have snacks for tonight, breakfast for tomorrow? And you're like, I'll just roll with it. I feel like it's going to be okay. I'm like, all right, that sounds great. And then we pull up and it's like Vegas. I don't know. It was like nightlife everywhere, every restaurant, lights everywhere, people everywhere. And I'm like, oh.
Vegas.
Well,
yeah, that's a good way. But
it
was buzzing.
It wasn't Vegas. It was Athens.
But think about this too, right? So in our cab, who dropped us off, they pull in and our shuttle, if you will, they kind of pull into the circle area within the city, cobblestone streets, and all around us are kind of the restaurants, bars on the bottom, the lofts, the apartments are up on top, right? So then they just drop us off and they point.
Yes, it's not a driving street where the entrance to our flat is. And so we just it's dark and it is late. I mean, there's lights and there are people, but it is dark and it is late. And we have all our luggage and sweet Everly. And so anyway, we make our way down this little cobblestone
And if
path.
you've ever rolled a rollerboard on cobblestone, it's not the easiest thing to do.
No, remember we were making fun of those people in Portugal doing. No, we weren't making fun of anybody. No. Just saying we were glad we didn't have our bags at that point. Now we were doing the luggage on the cobblestone. And this also was an Airbnb where the host was not meeting us, which that's one of our first experiences with that, where they were just leaving a key. So it was also late and dark, and we walked down the street. We're like, we're going to be able to find the key. Well, we did find the key. and made it into our flat. We were starving, so we're like, let's go for a walk. Let's go explore. Why wouldn't we do that right
And
now?
the coolest thing too is, so literally the flat is a couple hundred yards away from everything. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we were right there.
Yeah.
And so we just dropped the bags, went down, and for the most part, walked across the street, found a restaurant that was open, that was buzzing, and sat outside as you do in Europe for the most part. All these cafes or restaurants have this amazing seating outside. Got ourselves an authentic Greek meal. What did that entail? Hummus, pita, and a Greek salad.
Greek salad. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, we missed that. We love Greek food no matter where we are. So that was a perfect meal and a really nice way to introduce ourselves to what we would be eating over the next many days.
Yeah.
But it was a great first night, just kind of getting acquainted and such a buzz. So we had a lot of fun.
And we have to give a shout out to Clad and Bella, who made us feel at home. And as we do on this trip, we got to know our servers and folks at restaurants, and
came back to see them a couple times.
Yes,
I think we were going to try to interview them at some point. I don't think we did.
We weren't sure what we were getting ourselves into at that point in time. So we got back to our flat though, and it was awesome. I don't think we realized what the enormity of the coolness of the flat. And it had the balcony that was outside, and the location was perfect, and it was just great. And the next day, we wanted to explore, wanted to walk around, and we realized that there was all these people because the Athens Marathon had just taken place the day we got in, which was a Sunday. 75,000 people converging on Athens to run the original route.
Marathon.
The OG marathon. How cool is that? And everybody was so proud, as it should be, Michelle, wearing their numbers and their jerseys and the shirts and their medals the next day.
Yeah. Everyone was wearing medals around. That's how we finally kind of got looped in. And yeah, I mean, the original site, and I mean, just so cool that actually is the route that they still take, and starts in the town of.
Okay, here we go.
Marathon. Starts in Marathon.
Well, that was, yes, that you set me up very well with the softball there that I did not take. Retracing the route of the messenger Pheidippides from the Battle of Marathon in 490 BC, right? And yes, it starts in the town of Marathon and ends at the Panathenaic Stadium. We're working on these pronunciations, folks, as we go. I got them phonetically spelled, and we're doing the best we can. But so very cool. That was part of the buzz. But then, walkability is so important when we stay somewhere, if we can. And close by, and Athens had it all.
Yeah, Athens is a really, really good walking city. I mean, when you're willing to walk as far as we usually are in general. So we were right in, I think we mentioned the Plaka district, and that is walkable to many historic sites. And so, the next day we just kind of set out, and we had a little bit of a route in mind, but also just let's just see where the roads take us. So we headed to have some lunch, and then to the library ruins, which I think is the Library of Hadrian.
Yes.
And now it's all, of course, just outdoor ruins, but historically was one of the first libraries, and just kind of adjacent to the Rome Agora, which is, everything is kind of central to that area. So we explored the grounds of the library, big columns and scrolls, and a really cool site to check out. And then we just kept walking.
Well, if you haven't been to Athens, literally you turn a street corner, there's a ruin. It's like right in the middle of everything. It's like you go to, you're walking down the street, and you do a cafe, then you make a left, and it's like, oh, there's the library. And then you look up in the distance, there's Acropolis. Like, it's so cool. Everything is so accessible. It's so that Athens, everything is like you said, so accessible. So it was just cool to see. Cool just to stumble upon, relics and, ancient Greek mythology, and just learning as we went.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you hear a little bit about Greek mythology in general. And we love the stories of the Greek goddesses and gods. But then when you actually see the temples and the ruins and things that are dedicated to them, and learn more about the reasons why, you really do feel such a part of history, and storytelling and reasoning. And so the entire experience of Athens is world school on a walking tour.
Yeah, and it gets better. It gets better when it comes, especially to the world schooling. But again, you mentioned we ate. We had a Greek salad again, and you found your Greek lasagna.
Yes, I did find my moussaka.
And the name of the cafe was Idria, if you're keeping track at home. But once again, we're going to have as much as we can written down in our downloadable PDF Greece tour. But then the next day, it was raining.
Wait, we went somewhere else.
Oh,
But wait, we walked to the temple.
Yeah, we kept it going, didn't we?
Right, and over to the garden. So we walked to the temple of the Olympian Zeus and the gardens. Now, a part of that Zeus's temple is being reconstructed, and so it's blocked off, and you can't go all the way in right now, or at the time that we were there. But you can see it through fencing and just the sheer scope of how large it is. And then there's these gardens right in front of it that are gorgeously kept, and you can kind of just walk around the beautiful green gardens we did, and just had a really nice family walk all around.
No, as we're doing this too, and we mentioned before, we're doing the our trip to Portugal. A lot of this is selfish because we get to relive this whole thing.
Yeah.
So things are coming to mind as we're going through this. I remember loud birds.
Yeah, I remember the birds. I do remember
a lot of birds.
I don't know what they were.
I don't know.
We should be looking at our pictures at the same time.
We should.
I'll tell you that.
We should. So yes, that was another great experience too.
Yeah.
And just that too, you're in the city, but then all of a sudden you're in this incredible, beautiful grounds, beautiful flowers, garden type atmosphere. It was great.
Yeah. And then we walked back, and our area again was more in this kind of iconic shopping area. And there's, I believe it's the Eremu shopping district, and there's, signature stores that we would all recognize, and then also very cool, authentic stores. But that's really a nightlife and shopping and just a fun area to walk through and find great cafes once again for dinner. It was a lot of eating in Greece. We just walked around and ate. Walked a lot, ate a lot. That's all we did.
Credit, debit. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then again, we would often in these more touristy kind of cities have dinner and then go back to the flat and play cards and just, relax and get ready for the next day, because we had some open time in Athens that we just were kind of playing it by ear a little bit. So the next day, raining.
It was raining. As we mentioned, we hit wintertime as on the first leg of this trip. So, Michelle always doing research as we're going, and discovered that close by, again, walking distance from where we were, was the Museum of Illusion. Now, I had no idea what this is or what this was, and Ev and Michelle had done something similar in LA. So, looked it up online, got some tickets, and away we went. And it was awesome. I mean, we're talking about this world schooling thing, right? I mean, so many different experiences. In Portugal, we talked about the zoo and the aquariums and different things we did. This is a totally different experience here in Athens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is a little bit touristy in terms of the idea of it. It's not as historic, but it's fun. And so if you are traveling with kids and you would like to integrate something in that is a little more accessible for them, we're not trying to teach something major, but we are kind of doing something cool with illusions, and you take pictures in like where you look small and something else looks big, and it's just a really cool photo op for sure. And then the walk there were also like really cool kind of trinket markets, again, narrow streets, and the exploring just when we would walk anywhere was really cool and fun. So, but yeah, Museum of Illusion. And, this whole trip was about changing perspective and looking at things differently. So I found that to really remind me of that as well, that like, oh, well, look at this. If you just take a different perspective, look what can happen.
Yeah. And get out and walk. I mean, going back to the walking tour thing, go out and quote unquote, get lost. We did that in Lisbon. We did that in Alfama, which is, of course, part of Lisbon. We did it just around that district and just walked and found different places. And another thing, too, when we look at cafes and stuff, we weren't going on Yelp. It was, let's just pick something. Let's just take roll the dice. For the most part, it's going to be fantastic. And it was every single time. So, the next day, it was raining again, but we had booked a tour. This is where the
favorite day
world schooling really comes in. When in Athens, you have to go see, you don't have to, but you should dive into Greek mythology, because as we were just talking about, around every corner, there's a historical site. There's so much history there. So we decided to book a group Greek mythology tour.
Yeah, so you definitely want to go to the Acropolis, and you want to make sure you explore. And often doing that on a tour makes a lot of sense because you can get in, you get different access, you can learn. But we decided to do it, yes, through a Greek mythology lens, which was so incredible because the storytelling that was woven into seeing all these incredible places. So we had booked this group tour, but because it was raining, we showed up and waited a while, and our tour guide, Vickey, was there for us, and nobody else showed up.
Nope.
Nobody else came. So we had a private tour with Vickey.
Public-private tour with
And
Vickey.
she was incredible, like so knowledgeable, so educated.
She went to tour guide school. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, she went to school for this too,
Yes.
and she was incredibly educated, well-versed. And you mentioned she was again, you could tell stories, but she was a great storyteller.
She was a great storyteller. And we have a couple of clips of her telling some stories on our YouTube channel, but we also really respected that that was her craft and her job, and the tour company, they book these tours and that is how they make their money. So, and you need to just go walk it. You don't need to hear us talking about it or see us seeing it. You need to go see it for yourself. So we had 6 different stops along the way. The Acropolis, the Parthenon are, of course, part of that. But also you visit other temples along the way and really let the pieces come together of how the grounds fit together and really the golden era of the Greek. And wow, what an opulent time, and to just really hear about the rise and the fall and the rise. And it was very, very powerful.
Well, she was so cool too, because as she's telling us this, she's so, you're mesmerized by the stories and the way that she's telling it. People would start coming over
Yeah.
and like get on our
Try to
tour.
join
Or,
our
hey,
tour.
can we join you? And she's like, no, sorry. And finally at the end, she's like, no, it's a private tour. The people were still trying to find us, I think, but other people along the way who did not pay for a tour, they're just walking, and then you kind of lean in and they're trying to listen. So yeah, it was.
Yeah. And I recommend the tour in that when we went before, we went exploring and we did see the Acropolis, but we didn't get all the context. And I think that when you go with someone who can really guide you well and make sure you're respecting the grounds and can tell you the stories, and there are many, many people that visit the Parthenon and the Acropolis every day. The numbers are astounding. And because it was raining, it was a little bit slower day, but still,
It
even
just
with that,
started to pick up though too, right? I mean, it got busier
it
and
was really
busier.
busy.
Yeah.
So it was very nice to be on a tour, and we'll include the actual stops and the booking company in the PDF as well. So definitely check that out. But a big thank you to Vickey. She really made our experience pretty incredible. And I've really learned a lot as well that I think will serve her well.
Well, this is one of those moments too that we will probably, it's kind of a thread throughout all of these different places and stories we tell, is that this is something that we are looking forward to seeing Everly unpack over the next 2 and 3 years, maybe even longer than that, going to school. And when she does study Athens and Greek mythology and being able to say, I was there, I went there, I saw that temple. So that's what I think both of us, we talk about it often, is that is going to be one of the many benefits of this trip, is that she actually lived some of the history books that she's going to read in the future. And this certainly will add to that. After that, what do? We ate.
Back to the
Went and found
thing.
a mesoplate, which is, right?
Yeah. Because there's a cool street that runs like alongside. So when we were departing with Vickey, she let us know a couple recommendations, areas that you could find things that weren't too, find things that were very authentic, even in kind of that busy district. And so, I don't know.
Give it a shot.
I know.
We have it all phonetically spelled out here. So
Adranu?
yes.
Adranu. Again, in the PDF, in the notes. Adranu Street. And so we found, a great restaurant,
Diatafta.
and had the mesoplate, like Ken said, tried a little bit of everything, and started to see some visitors.
Yes, cats started to appear. Not
Look,
just one or
wild
two, but
cats.
Many cats.
Athens and Greece.
A lot of cats. And there were,
Cats.
you will notice that they are hanging out in the restaurants, the cafes, and they will come and, the waiters will come by and shoo them away. But then outside, you will see that people are feeding them, and there are large, I don't want to call them troughs, but almost, where people are putting out cat food for these cats. They are all of a sudden, they are all over the place.
Yeah, so just something to be aware of, because it's embraced in the culture, and there's a lot of conversations both ways of how people feel about how much there's any responsibility to take care of these cats or not, but they are there, and just be aware. There
All
are
right.
many kittens around.
Many kittens and cats. Okay, let's get to the island. Let's get to the island. Yeah. So what we mentioned to you, we'd been to Mykonos to Santorini. So we wanted to go to 2 islands that we had not been to before. Paros was one that resonated with us. And so the next day we got up early, took a cab down to the port, jumped on a ferry. It was awesome. It was legit. It was about a 4-hour ride, a little over 4 hours to Paros. Trucks and automobiles and everything we were down below, but it was so nice.
It was well coordinated. You dropped your bags off. You could see them loading trucks and supplies and all kinds of things. But then once you were in the ferry, yeah, it was a really nice seating area, and you could just enjoy the ride really, and I think they had like a coffee cart kind of place, little cafe. We just had coffee and watched the excursion unfold.
We did, and we were looking out the window, and we're trying to see some of the beauty that is the islands of Greece, and kind of going on a ferry between the islands. But again, it was raining.
It was raining
again, so didn't get to see necessarily that type of sights, if you will, on the way there. So raining is a common theme as we get to Paros.
It's pouring rain.
We get off the ferry, and as you mentioned, a little challenging on the way out because you are actually down underneath alongside all the cars and trucks getting off. So you're navigating that.
Yeah, and they've done it before, like the trucks, the supplies, the cars, and then you're just like this pedestrian also trying to go into this large lot all at the same time with your luggage and trying to get your bearings in general. So you are the one that doesn't know what's going on. They know what's going on. And so paying attention and being a careful pedestrian was very important. And then it was pouring rain, so we didn't even know where we were supposed to go.
So add to this, we had 4 bags at the time. We had 4 rollerboards, 3 backpacks.
Not for long, but yeah.
Right. We still had it at this point. So thank goodness the Airbnb that we had booked was, I don't know, a couple hundred yards from the port.
Right across from the port. And we did know it was close by. So we managed to waddle our way over there, swim our way over there. And it was downpour.
Soaking wet.
It was soaking wet. And they were nice enough to let us put our bags in at least. So someone met us and let us put our bags in, but the flat wasn't ready yet. So we then went on to explore. And then, of course, within 30 minutes, it stops raining and sun comes out and our soaking bags are in some apartment somewhere. But at least we were drying out as we were walking around.
Yeah, so we're advised to stay in this area because it's wintertime, and unlike Athens, much of the island is kind of shut down because it's very much a tourist attraction. Summertime is where everybody makes their money. And
yes. When you see the pictures of Paros, like you're definitely seeing pictures of Paros in the summertime.
Oh yeah, and you see signs.
Organized beaches.
We'll see you back in April.
Yeah, we'll see you in April.
So
we were there in November.
Yes, we were. Good and bad, right?
It was great.
And more good. The only downfall was that the water was a little bit cold and some of the places were closed. Other than that, we almost had the island to ourselves.
Well, you're with locals, and the locals like this time of year because they get their beaches back and it's a slower pace of life. And a lot of them do then take this time because they work so much during the summer. They take this time to relax. And so you're greeted in a different way. Like you really aren't a tourist during this time. You are someone who's participating in the island life. And the beaches are all yours. And there's just a pace and a quietness, a stillness that is unbelievable. So yes, should you visit during the touristy busy time? Absolutely.
What are you looking for, right?
Right. But for us, this was a magical time to be. So like you said, we were recommended to stay near the port, which is Pariki. It's
the capital and largest town on the island. Yep.
And we could still walk to a lot of restaurants and a lot of different areas. And so it was a great place to stay. I mean, just very central to everything.
No, it was fantastic. And then we went and we explored the beach right across the way. And it was full of sea glass.
It was full of sea glass.
I mean, we are sea glass. We became sea glass people through a good family friend of ours. And here in California, sea glass is really hard to come by unless you are just scouring the beaches every single day and you truly have an eye for it.
We had found a few pieces.
Yes, but you find a piece here in California and it's a treasure. I mean, it's, oh my gosh, how cool is that? Yeah. But we got to Greece.
Well, and in Portugal, we found a
Portugal
few,
too, yeah.
and that was very special. And then we get to Greece, and the first day we go down to this beach that is right across from where we're staying, and we found a couple pieces, and then a few more, and then a few more, and then it just never stopped. Like we just started collecting, and we couldn't believe. And then we'd be like, "Well, see if you can find a blue one," and then we'd find a blue one. See if you can find a darker blue one, and we would count at the end of each. What do we call this? At the end of each exploration.
Yeah.
And it'd be like in the hundreds.
So we got Ziploc bags, and Everly, what she'd do at night, amongst our card playing and everything else that we were doing, is she now had all of the sea glass at her disposal, and she would make designs. Octopi, fish, dolphins.
These incredible designs just with her mind and the colors that she had in front of her, and lay out these incredible pieces with sea glass.
We would take a picture of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then we would put
Label the bag.
label the bag, put all the sea glass back in the bag.
Okay, you
And
gotta
so
send that back,
we
'cause that's heavy.
That's another common theme. The bag keeps getting heavier as we progress on this trip, but the intention is to come back here, which we haven't done yet, which I cannot wait. You might see it someday in this podcast studio, is that we are going to have her recreate that art. We're going to put it together, and we're going to put it up on the walls, which will be absolutely beautiful. I cannot wait for that to happen. So that was one of the many cool things that we were experiencing in our area. So we decided here, right, unlike Athens, we're on this island, and it's like, what, we need to rent a car.
Yes. Yeah. Because we wanted to explore the whole island and all the beaches, because there's different types of beaches on Paros. So we rented a car, a really, really big car.
Yes. It was called a Panda, a Fiat Panda, to be exact.
Small car.
It was a stick shift. It was tiny. And Everly, I think, to quote her, said, "I finally know what it's like to ride on a motorcycle." I went back and watched one of our videos.
She said that.
I've
That's
mentioned this,
amazing.
what it's like to ride a motorcycle. So I'm in a stick shift. But as I recall, Michelle, and watching these videos, I'm still on the right side of the street.
Yeah, I think so. Right. Correct. Thank goodness. Because here was
the states, you're on the right side of the road.
Yeah.
We were still on the right side of the road in Greece.
In Greece. Correct. Yes. Thank goodness, because
before we transitioned to
all
Croatia and everything else. So, but yeah, we were flying around in a stick shift and driving this Panda all over the place, and it was fun. But the streets, again, were quiet. It was easy to drive. And then the beaches. So we did 2 beaches a day.
Yeah, we laid out a whole route of beaches so that we could explore and have time each day to really soak them in. So yeah, the first day, Santa Maria.
Santa Maria was the first beach we went to. And so, again, you'll hear us again say this quite a bit, but from a video perspective, all the footage is on our YouTube channel, and we've kind of recapped this again from a video standpoint. But the beaches, I go back. I went back before this podcast and watched a lot of our stuff just to remind myself what we did. The footage is ridiculous. Yeah. It's like we did have the beaches to ourselves.
And Santa Maria was like, you could wait out. And it was more, it was cold, but the way the sun was shining, we were able to be in our bathing suits and walk into the water. And it's just so stunning.
There's a shot, I will just say this, of I pan down from this sky with these dotted clouds in this blue sky, and I pan down, and it's you and Ev hand in hand in your bathing suits walking out in the water, and there is nothing, just you two. And it was, we look at memories. I remember you guys just being able to film you walking on the beach, walking in the water, nobody there.
Mm-hmm.
And
what I remember, I know exactly what you're talking about, then that it's this moment though where, I'm holding her hand and her and I are like laughing and talking and having these moments that I can still feel.
Yeah.
I will never forget what it felt like to be there, all of us together, and have this serenity and this peace and this knowing that we were doing something bigger than the moment and bigger than we had done before, and just soaking in how quickly time does go. And so to have that kind of quiet moment together, irreplaceable.
And one of those moments too, where we've talked about this, a little bit before, but I was filming the whole time, and sometimes you're like, oh, you're filming. You're still filming. Why are you filming? Like, put your camera away, whatever it is. But that, again, was one of those moments. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I was filming.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad I captured that moment. Yeah. I'm so glad we have that moment to look back on and realize how gorgeous it was. So we went to that beach. The next.
Oh, wait, one more thing on that beach, because then that's when we started doing all the cartwheels too. And there's all this like fun. We just started having so much fun because there's just like nobody there. It was just really fun. So lots of cartwheels on that beach as well.
That became a thing.
Yeah, cartwheels everywhere, really. It's fine. Okay, so then we went to
Coimbra.
Yes.
Rock formations from volcanoes.
Totally different.
Secluded coves. And one thing that we noticed too, and another common theme, is we saw these signs. Here, this is where you get your beer. This is where you get your food.
Rent your chair.
This is where you rent your chair.
Get your cold beverages.
Beers are however much, it said the menu of items.
But those are all packed up. There were no open bars. So organized beaches. So that's the other thing in Paros and Greece, well, Europe, but a lot of times in Greece, they'll have organized beaches. And so that's where the beach club is, and the beach chairs and the food and the bar and the music and the DJs. And it's just like a party and so fun. And then in the wintertime, it's
all
just
yours.
So beautiful and all yours. And this beach, you could climb on the rock formations, and like it was just these cool lava rocks, and it was a completely different look than the other side at Santa Maria.
And there was this boat that was docked, like a rowboat, and it was like a painting. It was there on this glassy blue water. The water was crystal clear. You could see the rocks and little fish, and it was paradise. It really, really was. And so those are the two beaches on day one with Panda. The next day with Panda, we went to Aliki Beach, which is a small fishing village.
Yeah.
So that was another one. Again, just us.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, just us. And again, the look of each of these beaches is so different. So this one also had some restaurants like not too far from it, but at this point in time, things are closed. So again, you're just in a very remote place all to yourself.
Okay, and the next one was a game changer. This was very special to us. This was called Golden Beach. And Golden Beach,
we were not alone.
Very famous.
Yeah.
We didn't realize it, but we found out later it was very famous. There was a surf club there, or is a surf club there. You could tell there is a club and a resort, and I'm repeating myself so many times, but you just picture what it would be like in the summertime, right? This would be just influx of people, music, chairs, towels, drinks, people in the water. But there were some other people there this time.
There were some other people there, and we had noticed them this time just swimming in the water, and then they got out of the water.
It was cold too.
It was very cold, and we were very impressed that they had swum laps out and come back in. And we were again just walking down, we could see sea glass. There was rocks down at the end. We were trying to see if we'd be able to go down and take some pictures down further. And this lovely lady said hello to us and just asked, "Are you here visiting? Where are you visiting from?" And spoke English to us, of course. And so we had shared, and she said
she had seen us before. And as we go back on our video and everything, trying to understand where it might have been, we think it was on Coimbra.
I think that's
where she was swimming that particular day.
Yeah.
And we saw somebody coming out of the water. We're like, oh, somebody's swimming in this water. Oh my gosh. Well, she approached us.
Yeah, and she said, "Where are you staying?" And kind of like checking in with us, just like, this is not a touristy time. Why are you here? And so we had a lovely conversation with her, and she was with a friend, and she talked about her experience, and she lives on the island. And by the time we wrapped up this conversation, she said, "Well, I should get your information. Like, you should come for dinner or meet for tea. I can tell you more about the island. And, it's not the most busy time, and so maybe you would like to have company."
What?
Yes, maybe we would. And sure enough,
Caroline,
sweet Caroline followed up with us, and I don't know, a couple days later, invited us to her home and to come have lunch with her, and we did. She came and picked us up.
We gave the Panda back. So she came and picked us
up. And she took us to her home, and she explained the geography of the island, where she likes to swim. She's originally from Ireland, but had lived in Paris for many, many years, and had most recently come to Paros from France, and had just amazing perspective on world and culture and humanity, and was such a gift. And so brought us for lunch and knew that Everly, of course, was with us, and she had arranged for her to pick olive
trees all over her property.
from her trees.
And she's got this amazing ocean view inland from the waters, high enough up where you could see the ocean, olive trees as far as you could see. And she had it all set up for Ev to pick olives, to put them in, to wash them, to brine them, and put them in a bottle.
Label them.
Yep.
Decorate the bottles and preserve them. And then when they were ready, we could come collect them, or she would send us our olives. Now, the interesting thing about this as well is we had looked in different places for cultural experiences and things we could do, and making olive oil or picking olives or doing olive press. We had seen some of those things and thought, oh, that might be nice, and it's just something we hadn't booked. And then there we are with this person who's actually welcoming us into their home and doing this experience with us. And that's another one of those days where it's just like the feeling of the day is something I will never forget. Feeling so welcomed, so in exactly the place I was meant to be, that this is where we were supposed to be. Everly is learning and engaging and having conversations with this woman, in more conversational and a deeper level than we had seen her do in other moments. So it was a really special day for many reasons.
It was the way Caroline approached everything.
Yeah.
She had this energy about her and this trust about her.
Yeah.
And let's just go back for a moment. The trust that she had in us and the trust that we had in her, but for this, single older, lady to come and pick us up, 3 strangers from California, and take us to her home, and had tea. We had dinner.
We had a whole dinner.
We had like dessert, cool, authentic Greek cracker cakes, and she had stray cats that she was taking. It could come and go. And of course, Ev loved that. But then again, just the care that she showed us and the hospitality. And you mentioned education. She, how to do these olives and how to brine the olives, and where the olive oil is taken and where it's pressed.
The local press, how they all do it. They have these days that they go locally and can make their own. And yeah,
she has sent us pictures. She sent pictures of Ev's bottle with her label on it, and said, "It's here waiting for you next time you come by."
So we will be going back to Paros to pick up olives.
So, like Paros, and I guess it just works out well, is the 2 P's for me, certainly the people and the peace, right? So let's continue that with the people. You mentioned at the beginning, when we go to these places like a Paros, you get to know the locals. Locals are there. They can talk to you. They have time to talk to you because they're not that busy. And that had to do with another restaurant that was very close to us in our flat, right in the harbor, Athens. And it was awesome. We went there. We walked in. So Nikos, the gentleman who owns it with his wife, we find out he's been there for 14 years. And we went there twice. He had people in there each time. It was the same people. It was his friends and family. And we asked him, why aren't you closing down like everybody else? He's like, what else am I going to do? I love my restaurant. I love my friends. I love my family. I want to be here with all of them. It was community. And you said it best when we, recapped this a while ago. So, of course, we talked to him. We wanted to do a story with him. He wasn't too comfortable with his English, so he called him his second son. Sakish is his name, who's a professional kickboxer, we find out. I mean, these people's stories are phenomenal.
Yes.
But Nikos let me in the back the second time there.
Yeah, we went to like the pizza oven and we saw how he made everything.
He's feeding prosciutto to us, and we're in the back of the kitchen. We're watching him prep the meal. The bread was out of this world. And then all of a sudden, Nikos would leave, and we're like, where are you going? And he'd jump on a scooter with a pizza, and he'd deliver a pizza to somebody down the street. So,
and his restaurant is off the main street, but across the way is where the beach is, and they have a beautiful setup during the high season on the beach. And you can tell the tables and the lights. And the second night that we went, we're like, I really want to eat out on the beach. Like, that is so. And he's like, okay, so eat out on the beach then. And they put tables out there and set it up for us. And we sat there for like 20 minutes because then it got freezing and we couldn't. But they set up this beachside table for us because we wanted to experience, what it would be like. And just again, lovely. And you said it best that when you go in the off season, the way you're able to connect with people is just very different than it would be at other times. And we appreciate that they slowed down a minute for us too.
Yeah. And again, I would highly recommend, we'll have that in the guide as well, but please go back and see Nikos. Yes. I mean, he's just salt of the earth. Yeah. Before we leave Paros, though, we had the port with this hike around the port that we'll never forget. The sunsets were, I mean, you can only imagine, were unreal, but there was this hike around the harbor area that was just one of the more unforgettable evenings that we had.
Yeah, we set out we could tell that this trail went up a bit to the peak, but we didn't actually know exactly how far, and it ended up going much further and wound all around. And the views, you could see the entire port, you could see the entire side of the island, and we just kept walking and walking, and there was wildflowers and bits of the water where you're close to the water and times when you're way up high, and it was just this very cool hike. And so I don't know how organized and official it is, but I will put that in the PDF as well, because the views from this top, and so you could take a picnic up there. I mean, we just started walking and then just it took us a long time to come back down, but I think it's not that often explored. I don't know really if we were off the beaten path. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, certainly at the time of year that we were doing it was off the beaten path. But yes, and of course we came back and there was a cat that befriended Ev, one of the many, and we got to take a picture of the cat. More on cats later.
More on cats.
So the next day we were off to Crete, and to get there you had to fly. You could take a ferry. I think you mentioned again in a recap that we did prior, it was like maybe an 8-hour ferry if we really wanted to.
Yeah, it's a long one from there. Yeah.
So we decided to fly. So we had to get to the airport. So sweet Caroline said, I'll pick you up.
Picked us up.
And we're like, well, when should we go? She's like, oh, just an hour before your flight.
We're like, are you sure?
What? So yeah, tiny airport on the island, but that being a small airport. So what do? We flew from Paros to Athens to Crete. So that's kind of the way we went.
Yes. I'm pausing because this is where we began to change our mind about our luggage and how much luggage we had. So more on this as we go, but like Kent said in the beginning, at this point, we still have like a larger bag that we're sharing, which as you all know now, by this point, this was like Michelle's Pharmacy 101. And all the things you could ever think that you might need and what can't possibly buy anywhere else in the world. I don't know. But anyway, I didn't know what I didn't know. So at this point, we still had a lot of stuff with us in that way, plus our smaller bags, it was our clothing. And this small airport was amazing, but it also is where there's smaller planes and the way they handle the luggage is very different. And it was kind of that first time where I was like, I don't feel as free and as like savvy as I want in this moment. And I actually think that we are very free and very organized and we got this. And so we probably have too much with us.
Well, small planes too, weight is everything.
Exactly.
It's kind of dissected a little bit more. And I remember going through our suitcase in the airport. We were one of those people.
Yeah, we were one of those people.
You see it all the time where we had to
And it's the first time we've like ever had to do that. Yeah. So it was just one of the times. So we're like, okay. And it was when I started realizing I'm already choosing to live without a lot this year. And what else do we not need? So more on that as we continue on, because by the end, we barely have anything with us. But at this point in time, we still got a lot of stuff.
So why Crete?
Why Crete?
So the largest of the Greek Isles, further south.
Which means?
More sun.
Which means warmth.
Warmth? Question mark, wintertime still, hoping. And oh, by the way, another common thread through this entire, our European run was trying to find a heated pool for Everly.
Right.
We were trying to find a heated pool. So every Airbnb that we had been to thus far, if there was a pool, it was not heated during the wintertime because why? There's nobody there. A lot of people aren't staying for them to make it financially feasible. So anyways, and also Crete, another island that Michelle and I hadn't been to, and we wanted to explore. We thought this would be a great island to go to and take Ev to. So we landed and we went to the old port, loaded in Hania. And so the cool thing is you land, we took a shuttle, we go past the new port where there's like a cruise ship in the harbor.
Yes. Modernized. New
Very
port.
modernized. new port, so we go to the old port, and so glad we did. Again, another cool flat, 5 minutes from the area. We found this was a lot more alive, meaning there are a lot more restaurants and shops open in the old port, but another great location.
Yeah, Crete was busier island in general, this area of it, and bigger and busier. And so, yeah, the port area, all restaurants were open and a little bit busier. But the main reason we went to this specific part of Hania is because this Airbnb.
Mermaid House.
Oh yes, I was going to say the farmer's market. Yes, Mermaid House.
Well, that was bonus. I think the farmer's market was super bonus.
Well, we did learn that it was going to be there, but yeah. So Mermaid House, what does that mean?
So to find a heated pool, I guess you had to go with an indoor pool. And this was kind of like an indoor fish tank or a mermaid tank. It was like gigantic, right in the middle of the living room.
Like clear-sided.
Yes.
Yes, literally in the main room when you walk in the doors. And this place was really modern. It was just so interesting.
2-story, modern.
And cool.
Yeah.
But with historic details. But yes, then all this, you just walk in and then to the right is clear glass, edged pool.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun.
Oh my gosh.
It was so
hours of entertainment.
Fun. Hours
Playing
of entertainment.
games and diving for rocks and shells and whatever else we could do, and the water was warm. Finally.
Yeah, it was really
we were
warm.
in the water
and you could swim,
all the
like
time.
sort of mini laps.
Yeah.
And it was deep though. Like I really couldn't touch. So she had to just keep swimming.
It was a gigantic mermaid tank. It was
tank.
hilarious. We call it the Mermaid House. So it was fantastic. And let's continue the conversation as far as location, because then the farmer's market. So we get it on a Friday, and when we booked it, they told you, Michelle, like, hey, heads up.
Saturday morning. So you have to be careful about where you park. And we did have a car. Actually, we did not have a car yet.
Not yet.
We had a car during this, but not yet. But they said, be careful where you park, because that whole street right outside the doors, as you would walk down to the port, is a farmer's market on Saturday mornings. And we're like, yes, because part of our goal when we set out was to visit local markets and to buy local food and to create local recipes. And this was the absolute perfect way to do that. And so Everly had come up with a recipe that she wanted to find ingredients. We were desiring to make the freshest, biggest Greek salad. And so on Friday night when we went to bed, we're like, so in the first thing, there's going to be a farmer's market out there? Like nothing's happening. And so we go to sleep and I hear this. No one else would hear this. I hear this like,
You said it best. You're a recovering event planner.
I'm a recovering event planner. And I know what it takes to set up these tents. And I know what it takes to set up all these tents in the middle of the night. And I heard this like clink in the middle of the night. And I was like, they're setting up the tents. I could tell. And so I was like peering out the window and I'm watching them bring everything in. And it was absolutely a magical transition that then by the morning they had all these booths set up and we open our door and
we're in the middle of it.
We're in the middle of it. Like we walk into the farmer's market. And
there are people set up like right in front of our door.
Like at our doorstep.
We have this great shot of Ev opening up the door and we walk right out and it's just, it's on.
It's on. And there was honey and herbs.
Oh, taste everything.
Vegetables
right?
and taste everything. Especially the cheeses. The cheese.
There's a feta cheese lady, and out of a bucket. She made it at her place. She brought it in, and she's like with a toothpick going in, and we're just eating this feta cheese, and we're like, okay, we'll take whatever we can get.
Absolutely.
And we had an Ev's tasting honey, and you mentioned she had a list, herbs,
and we found
what she was looking for.
And she created her own unique recipe that night.
Best salad.
Best salad.
Yeah.
Best tomatoes, best cheese.
Yeah.
So farmer's market, highly recommend the farmer's market in Crete. And then one of our favorite things was just every night to walk the walls of the old port towards the lighthouse, which I think you know some history on the lighthouse, but there's a beautiful lighthouse at the end. And during sunset, we would walk along the wall every night and just watch the sunset. And it was very cool because there would be like little nooks and crannies and lookout spaces. And you can tell where it was a fort before or where there'd be lookouts. And the history was really cool.
Yeah, it's known as the Hania Lighthouse, but it's also got some other names because it was built by the Venetians around 1595 to 1601. Wrap your head around that for a minute. Reconstructed by the Egyptian troops between 1830 and 1840. So it's known as the Venetian Lighthouse, the Egyptian Lighthouse, or the Hania Lighthouse. It's one of the oldest lighthouses in the world. So, yeah, as you mentioned, we have great shots of Eve peeking through these, ancient holes that looked like you could put a cannon through them because it was there to protect. And it's like you had rough seas on one side of the seawall and then just glass with these boats on the other side. And the sunsets were just beautiful, and it was unreal. And that was certainly a fun moment. But then we found some of these restaurants that were in the harbor, but one caught our eye. It was an old yacht club.
Yes.
And on a Sunday, we go in this yacht club and just picture it's sunny, but it's chilly. And it's a Sunday, and we'd love our Sundays back in the day when we had Sundays. So we didn't do anything. I don't know how long ago that was. So we go into this, it's just giant high ceilings and stone walls and pictures of the yacht club back in the day, hundreds of years ago. We had prosciutto, because one of Ev's favorite things, and we were drinking local beer. You had a Irish coffee, and it was
we played cards all morning and just felt the sun on our face through the glass, looking out at the water, playing cards, having little nosh. Just again, one of those moments where you're like, when else do we slow down this much?
Yep. And it was just kind of a cool snapshot of just being a family in a beautiful place and just doing something very simple.
And I think this is one of those reminders too, that this journey wasn't a vacation. And so we do talk about some of the highlights, the history, sometimes some touristy type things, but that we were living in these areas and trying to adapt to some sort of pace that would be sustainable. So this was one of those moments where you're like, that's why you need to slow down. And yes, there's history here and there's lots to see, but there's also lots to just feel if you slow down enough to feel where you are.
That's a great transition, by the way, because boy, did we slow down in this next area that we went from we like to call it from the inhabited to the uninhabited. So there were two different parts to our Crete trip.
Yeah.
Because on this particular year, my birthday and Thanksgiving fell on the same day. So Michelle's like, what do you want to do for your birthday? I go, I want to go in the middle of nowhere and hang out and just be our family and just be away from everything and everybody. And that's what we did. Yep. So we rented a car. We took off to a place. So backing up real quickly, the Airbnb that we're going to stay in said, okay, everything around here is closed. It's not really near a lot of things. So you need to stop and get provisions.
Yes.
So we stopped at a place called Kisimas. Yes.
Yeah, which had a great market.
45 minutes from where we were at.
Yeah.
It's kind of halfway to our Airbnb that we're going to.
Was it halfway? Felt like we had a long way to go after that. But anyway, if it was halfway, that sounds right. Yes. Yeah. Maybe like half distance, but not time. But either way. So we shopped because we knew we wouldn't be able to get any other groceries or anything else. And so we planned out our Thanksgiving, which was a Greek fest, which was also Kent's birthday, and planned out all of our meals that we would have during this time when we'd be very remote. And off we went.
So another 40, I don't know, I had written down 40 minutes. It might have been another hour. But the thing is, though, it was, you're on main highways and all of a sudden they become 2-lane highways. And then they become, there's no line in the middle. So now you're wondering how often people travel on these roads.
And we're going from like the port town and then we're going southwest. We're going to the west.
Kind of around.
The island of Crete.
Yeah, and then we're going from very high to very low.
Yeah.
We're so...
Lavidia.
Yes,
where we are
that's where we ended
specifically.
Up. So winding roads, many on the cliffside. Then all of a sudden, Ed was having a tough time. So again, another tip: you want to, if your child or you have an issue with getting car sick, figure out you got some bracelets.
Right, which we didn't know before this trip. Like we really hadn't been anywhere here locally in the car. She doesn't have that experience. And then we're traveling and we're starting to realize like these long distances, the curving roads. And you know, when you're not in control, you're not the one driving. Yeah. I mean, this is a very sensory experience. And so we stopped a lot because she needed to have some fresh air and to get her bearings. And I kind of felt the same way. Like we were teetering on the edge of a cliff the entire drive.
But there were some distractions: donkeys, goats, and chickens. Yeah. A lot of goats crossing the road. So,
and that got really fun because then we're like, wait, what is all this? And they were passing through places that look like if anything was open, maybe it could be really cool, but like nothing was open.
No, we were seriously countryside.
It's getting like, very
hardcore. So we get there, we pull in, we have to dodge chickens on the way in. We find our place. We get greeted by some cats. More on that later. We have a swimming pool.
Outdoor this time. An
Outdoor
outdoor pool,
swimming pool.
but heated.
It was heated, quotation marks.
Heated.
So yes, and it was a beautiful place.
Yes.
It really was. And so we were able to get it situated there, and then walking distance from there was the beach.
Yeah, and we got greeted by a little bit later, at least, by the gentleman that owns it, who lives on the property next door. So him and his sons, his family run it, and then they live next door. So there were people around. They were our Airbnb hosts next door, but that was it. So yeah, there is this beach, and when we had looked at something prior to going to this area, I had seen this swimming hole and this cool like beach club place.
Video on YouTube.
This video on YouTube. And so we were like, I think we're right there. Let's like wander down to it. So we did. We wandered down to it. Again, vacant, but it looked like really see
cool.
You in April.
I think so. We were there in obviously the end of November with my birthday, and we had just seen videos that were October, I think. It's like it had everything but a tumbleweed going through, right? It was like there was nobody anywhere around. But so as we're going down, and we see there is this, those pool ladders that go inside the pool that you can go down the metal bars that go on the side of a pool. All of a sudden, we look in the distance, and there's this pool ladder in this naturally made pool in the ocean. And Michelle's like, wait a second. I remember that in the video.
That's the swimming hole. Like this has been a naturally formed swimming hole, the way the rocks have formed and the way the tide comes in. And you can't always see it, but then there's the swimming hole. And so someone's put a ladder in there. And so it's like famous in this area that you can swim in it, and then there's the whole, bar area and everything else. But anyway, so we see it, and I'm like, that's it. That's the one.
Yeah, so we did a cold plunge on my birthday and Thanksgiving. Yeah. How cool was that?
It was so cool. Yeah. It was so cool.
I was like, no way.
No way. But then she did put her feet in. But she took pictures of us going in and doing, this was my first like actual cold plunge probably. That wasn't like at a pool spa kind of situation.
Yeah.
And I felt so alive.
It was so cool. It was so cool. It was even better because it was Thanksgiving and my birthday. We're doing all this stuff. So
it was very cool. And then we did, like I said before, we had bought things to make a full Greek dinner. And so our Thanksgiving was with Greek influence. And then our friends, we connected with some friends and family in the States, and were able to really, celebrate Thanksgiving with them as well. We had friends that were actually at the Macy's Day Parade. So we actually got got to FaceTime with them, and I really got to see like live footage of the Macy's Day Parade while we're on this like remote Greek island. It was a really, really cool day, even though we were, so very removed from a lot of things. I guess maybe that's why it was a great day.
So my wish came true. We were in the middle of nowhere, and it was awesome.
I deliver.
Yes, you did. It was to Michelle's credit again, as she continued to research, Elafonisi.
The pink sand beach.
Pink sand beach.
And it's actually pink.
It's pink.
It's cool. And we had to drive a little ways. It is a little distance. But
farther south.
And, but very famous. And again, and it was busier than some places we had been actually. But the way the tides come in, you can walk really far out before it gets very deep. And you have to catch it right, the glimmer of the sand, or put it in your hand and let it go through. But it is pink.
And there are signs that say, do not take the sand home.
Don't take it.
Well, obviously don't, but I'm sure people do. Parking is a little far away, but it's really cool because the walk-in is really cool. There's a wooden plank walkway that goes in, and it's almost like a dunes area. Dunes meaning sand. It's all sand, beach sand, but then there's people with coolers on their shoulders walking across. It's like waist deep to another.
Yeah, to the other, like a other little island.
Yeah, so it was very, very cool area to go to, and certainly it is. As you mentioned, you Google it, it's like, oh my gosh, it's super famous.
And it was the same thing, that it was warm. We were in bathing suits, and if you would just lay there and let the sun hit you, it was warm enough, and the water was chilly but like refreshing. Like it wasn't like a beach day like you would typically think weather-wise, but like you could absolutely go to the beach. And this was November timeframe, so it did stay warm enough there.
All right, Michelle. Here comes the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get back and hunker down, ladies and gentlemen, because here comes the thunder, the lightning.
Zeus was upset.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Did I?
The Greek gods.
The Greek gods.
Zeus was not fired up for some reason.
I don't know why.
Or he was fired up. I don't know what happened.
I don't know what was happening.
It was coming down. It was to the point where we lost power. our host next door had to come over with candles and a
candles.
gas lantern.
And we were leaving the next day.
Mhm.
And so we hadn't packed up yet. So I'm like, I'm trying to pack in I
Dark.
mean, it was pitch black. There was nothing you couldn't see. And so there's one side of this is really fun because who doesn't want like a candlelight? We played games and there was that. Then there was also this like
Reality check.
and also we need to pack up and we have to leave before daylight tomorrow. Like our flight out of Athens, out of where we were, Crete. Our flight out of Crete was early. And so my mind is just like, I'm not going to be able to see to pack. What are we going to do? Well, we made the best of it. Of course we did.
So here comes the theme of cats. So when we arrived at the Airbnb, we were greeted by several cats, but two in particular caught our eye, or should I say Everly's eye, and became friends of ours.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Airbnb in the description said, "We hope you like cats."
Yeah. They were
So,
honest about it, but really, you got to like some
Barky
cats.
and Orangey were the two cats.
Barky and Orangey. And I don't love cats, and I do like these cats a lot.
So during the storm, I mean, these kids are wild cats, and
Cat created like
I tried
like
to
a
create a shelter.
barn.
Yeah, in the back. And we were getting fresh fish and different things whenever you had a chance to get provisions, and we were making dinner. And so
We were making some really good food there.
weren't the first ones to feed these
No,
cats.
they know.
They were
They
at the
know.
door and they had been fed before. So we certainly we added to that
We did.
and gladly. But there was an incident that from a parental traveling
Mhm.
perspective made us kind of think for a moment, and we certainly wanted to bring this up.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was actually a couple days prior to this evening that we're wrapping up our time here. But a couple days prior to that, when we had first seen the cats and we weren't really sure and we weren't friendly with them yet, and we were deciding if we were going to feed them and, where they had been and how wild were they and going through all of that. And everything went to feed one of that. And
Wasn't giving Barky attention. And I think
yes,
came up on.
Yes, there was some jealousy between the cats, and I think this cat just wanted Everly's attention.
And it was no ill will of the cat. It was just trying to jump up on Everly. Yeah.
And they're wild cats, and they've got claws. And so this cat jumped up on Everly and scratched her pretty
on her forearm, right?
deep on her forearm. And we're like, oh gosh, okay, that's not good. Let's wash that off. And I'm like, oh goodness, this is a wild cat. Like, do we have to do anything for this? Like, I don't really know what to do. And, but it's whatever, we'll be fine. And then it starts swelling up and she's reacting, like she's having an allergic reaction to this scratch. And we had been around cats before, but she didn't really seem allergic, but we're now realizing like she's allergic to cats. So, we have insurance. We have really good travel insurance. Where this is something we'll probably do a whole episode on, certain things of like what you need and how we got prepared. So we were able to call. We have this 24-hour telemed, and so we were able to call, and a doctor called us right back and took us through some steps of things that we needed to do, asked if we had Benadryl. And don't forget, Michelle was traveling with the whole pharmacy at this point. So we gave her Benadryl and we really watched her. But it was a bit scary because we were so remote at that point. And it was kind of one of my moments of just sort of, and we're in Greece. We're not remote like,
we're
not as remote as we're about to be.
We're an hour and a
times,
half away to get to somewhere.
Exactly.
If we needed to get somewhere.
Exactly. And so it was just a little like a bit, but it was so wonderful to be able to have this call and this person talk us through and feel assured that we were making the right decisions and we could help her and we were doing the right things. And she's such a trooper. And it was just one of those moments where you just realize, small things can make a big impact and you need to be prepared for those. So we highly recommend, having insurance, having a plan, having certain things with you that can go a long way if you need to be able to get somewhere. And she did fine and she was great and all is well. And she is allergic to cats.
That was a world school moment for us as parents. But looking back on our trip to Greece, the two islands in Athens, and certainly a world school opportunity, again, for all of us, but for Everly too, was we kind of highlighted as we went when you talk about the Greek mythology, and of course, Caroline and everything we did, at her place, and then the farmer's market and the history of the lighthouse and all the fun stuff that we saw along the way. It was dotted with world school opportunities. As far as we like to kind of do biggest takeaway. I think I mentioned it earlier, kind of my 2 Ps, the peace and the people, you know, and that resonated with me. And I think we agree, Caroline, it was certainly a standout for us.
Oh, incredible. Absolutely.
You know, and Nikos, you have to put them all into the mix. Yeah, it was just a very special place.
Very special place. And I think I'll just add one quick thing on the world school. Like you said, we wove it in throughout. We had read just before we were going, Everly likes a book series called The Magic Tree House. And we had been reading it in Portugal. And as we moved along, and there was a Greek.
It's crazy.
There was an issue when they go to Greece, and you know, all these things transpire, and then we're standing at the spots that this book had just been talking about. So historically locking that in, but also kind of a book that she had been following and locks that in. And so for me, just seeing that all come together, like the mythology was just a highlight, like you said, Caroline, for sure. And Greece is just a really special, peaceful place.
Well, to catch this entire podcast, you can go to our YouTube channel, the Frenchitivity YouTube channel. You can also catch us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And as we alluded to, next up is Croatia.
Yeah, and you want to grab the PDF around all of our journeys through Greece and kind of the summary of all the places we talked about. If you want to book anything or just see the beaches that we went to, you can find that at www.frenchitivity.com/Greece. Again, www.frenchitivity, FRENCHITIVITY.com/Greece.
And what's the right way to have people follow us, rate us?
On Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
Yeah. Follow, rate, and review.
There
and
it
if you
is.
listen on Spotify, subscribe.
Yes, please. We want to continue doing this. We'd love your support. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Again, we just keep talking because we're reminiscing.
I know. We got to get them shorter, John. These go a little too long. We're sorry. Thanks for listening, and we'll try to get to the point faster next time.
Yes. So thanks for listening to the Frenchitivity Podcast, and we will see you next time.